Now when you first mix it like that, it's pretty loose, so you can grab up enough epoxy with the brush and you get a good blob on there, like, you know, like that. And then let's set this at the side. Put on your bug like that and then start spreading it around. This looks like it might be a little bit too much. You don't want too much epoxy on there, because then it's going to sag really too much, too fast. So if you have too much on there, you can just scrape it off on your mixing stick. You want to coat all of the surfaces, being sure to get the edges and around the junction where your body meets the hook, just to seal that in, that edge, the back. This is a perch float popper, so I'm going to go ahead and seal up the air. I don't want to close up the hole, but I'm just kind of sticking a little epoxy on the inside there. And just kind of rub it out. You don't want it too thick. It'll sag, like I said, it'll sag fast, plus it'll add excess weight that you don't need, but you don't want it too thin either then, because you're going to reduce your durability. Now once you do one like that, what you want to do is angle it and hold it in a light. You can see that little line, that little reflection. Well, what you do is you just kind of turn the bug and look at that reflection, that line of light that your light source is creating on your shiny epoxy surface. And if you have a spot that you missed, it'll be dull, and it'll pop out to you, and then you just go ahead and touch that up. So, and just go ahead and as the thing's moving, just put it on your turner. Try and get it as level as you can without dropping it. I usually do it this way, actually. Okay. Go ahead and do a spoon fly now. Whenever you do anything with a weed guard on it, you want to pull that, if it's this type of weed guard, pull the weed guard up just to make sure it's up and away from your body a little bit, so you don't get too much epoxy blobbing up right there. Now you're only going to be able to grab the epoxy with your brush for a short period of time before that ice bath causes the epoxy mixture to thicken. And once that happens, you'll have to use your mixing stick to lift the blob out of your mixture, out of your batch. As you're doing it, you want to, just like with the popper, you want to get the edges. So you want to roll your epoxy along the edges. Coat the inside here. Get the thread wraps. Try not to get it in the hook eye, but you do want to get some epoxy on the edge of the thread to seal it. Now even though it's thick, it's not thick because it's curing or setting up. It's thick because it's cold. But once you start applying it, it comes to room temperature and it spreads. It starts spreading nicely. And you just take a little bit on the, scoop up a little epoxy on your brush from the back, a little excess like that. And then when you got it on there, you just kind of roll it on the edges like that. And you roll it on there. Then I'm going to come back after this is dry and we'll put a second coat on the top. And you just stick this in your clip. And once that's dry, what you want to do is you want to feel the edges. Sometimes you get some real sharp pointy edges from the epoxy and the mylar, and you just take a little emery board and knock those edges, smooth them down like that, kind of clean the dust off. And if like in this case, if it's been a couple days since you've epoxied it, you want to take a little Scotch-Brite pad and just kind of buff it up, scuff it a little bit. That just gives your finish a little tooth to hold that epoxy on there. Just knocks that shine off. So when you do that, now it's kind of thick, so what I'm going to do is, see, I'll use the mixing stick and grab a glob of epoxy like this. And of course that's obviously way too much, so I just put on however much I think I need, like that. Just deposit it right there and then start spreading it around, and it'll loosen up. If you got too much, you just scoop it off like that. Stick it back at the base, at the bottom of your stick. You don't want to put it too high up and get it away from that coal, because then it'll start to cure on you. Go ahead and roll the edges again. Make sure you get those edges. That's kind of a little chink in the arm on that edge. Epoxy wears off of that, water gets in, it'll soften up that 5-minute epoxy on the inside of this fly. Clip it on. The other thing I use epoxy on is streamer heads. This is pretty simple, straightforward. You have a streamer with a thread head. You got some eyes either painted on, or like in this case, these are these little vinyl stick-on eyes. And you put epoxy on that to seal your thread wraps, and then also to seal those eyes in there. Now here you just want to put a little bit like that, and just kind of work it. It's basically like putting on thick head cement. You just kind of coat it around. Try not to get any in your hook eye, but don't worry if you get any on the base of your wing, because that'll just kind of help lock that wing in there. Did I get any in a hook eye? Can't see. No, I'm good. Okay. Alright, so once your head's covered like that, you go ahead and clip this in. You clip and you just let it turn. And I'll let that go for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I've done with one mixture of epoxy, 2 pumps and one mixture. Before it, I actually probably could have did a couple more, and the epoxy's still not set. It's in the ice bath.
What?
And
What?
the epoxy's in the ice bath, and it's about setting up about now, so that's not bad. It used to be, before I started using the ice bath, I'd get maybe six spoon flies done. So that ice bath extends it, what's that, 6 goes into 24 4 times, so it extends it 4 times. The ice bath extends the life of your epoxy 4 times. Alright, that's it, we're done.